Hello. So I thought I'd start a channel, maybe as a blog, maybe as advice for people. Who knows? So what's this about? What's this video about? So I am a Brit. My name is Richard. I have been living in Poland for almost 2 years now, and I don't know. It's been different. I have to admit, for a long time, I perhaps didn't really love the UK as much as most of the world seems to think. Wow, it's an amazing place, isn't it incredible? You have to go to London, it's like the best place in the world. Um, yeah, yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, the UK's cool, lived there a long time, lived in a few cities, made some really good friends there, have an amazing family there, love the country. The woodland, the animals, everything. You have a lot of lovely wildlife and such. But to be honest, my life wasn't going in the direction that I wanted it to go. And fate kind of changed things. So I was working for a company, I won't say who, and they decided that they were going to outsource my job to Poland. A lot of companies are doing this. A lot of companies from all over the world are now outsourcing to Poland. And I was on holiday in Amsterdam at the time. So it was kind of a bummer to kind of find out that, okay, I'm probably losing my job. So I probably bugged the hell out of my friend who was with me because I was just like, oh, what am I going to do? Where am I going to work next? What's my plan of action? And then work turned around and, they confirmed, yep, it's all going ahead. Sorry. And they were like, do you want to go there and train the new team? Now, a lot of people in this situation would probably say, well, no, screw work. Why would I want to do that? You've kind of screwed me over, so why? But I had a couple of thoughts in mind when they asked me. Firstly, they wanted me to come out for like 2.5 months. And I was like, okay. They'll give me a daily allowance. I'll get my redundancy money and things at the end. So is there actually anything to lose by doing this? It's sort of a free holiday in a way, a working holiday, and it was an experience. So I was like, okay, all right, I'll give it a go. So yeah, that's how I started, and I came out here. It was February 2018, and it was cold. Oh, it was very cold. There was, I don't know, not much snow, maybe. And you know what? I loved it. We complain about the weather in the UK a lot because it's just wet and windy and miserable, a lot of the time. And suddenly I come to a country where, it feels more consistent. It's kind of a drier cold, something that, you wrap up, you can manage it. So if you're thinking about coming to Poland, you're worried about the cold, just wear warm clothes. You probably won't even need a raincoat. It doesn't really rain that much here. So yeah, I was here for, 2.5 months. They put me up in a flat, just a cheap place, but, place to myself. That was nice. I was a bit terrified when I first got here. Do you know why? I don't know if you've ever studied Polish or tried to, speak Polish or listen to Polish even. Polish is not an easy language, and I'm not going to pretend that I know it. I'm working on it. I wish I'd started working on it sooner, I'll be honest. 2 years here now almost, and I feel like I know like this much. I can make some very, very basic conversation. I can get through a shop. I can say please, proszę, thank you, dziękuję. You know, I know a lot more words than that, but you know, maybe I'm not as confident. Maybe I'll get more confident if I continue these videos. So, yeah, so I'm here in Poland and I'm terrified because I need to go shopping. You know, I'm in a self-catered flat. And I don't really know anyone here. You know, a few people were kind enough to pick me up from from the airport. And, you know, they took me to my flat and they got me inside and all that. That was lovely. You know, I was very happy that they did that. And I still know these people, they're lovely people, you know. And then, yeah, so the first weekend, I was like, right, I braved the shop. You know what, I survived on pizza. I wasn't really prepared to try and cook straight away. I just wanted to survive. Just get in there, survive. I mean, in fact, these lovely people that picked me up at the airport, they gave me this traditional Polish bread. It was like a kind of round cob type loaf, and it was kind of salty bread, and I survived on that for a day, maybe two. That's pretty bad, right? But you know, my first real time living abroad on my own, it was a little bit freaky, But things got better pretty quickly, you know. So I love to walk. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to go explore. So I'm in Warsaw, big city. You know, it's not quite London. I always think of it as like halfway between London and Cardiff. Cardiff I used to live in and loved. Absolutely amazing place. So I walked around and you know, I'm like, oh, I got it, you know, I'm here for 2.5 months. It will go by quickly. I've got to get in what I can. So I went to the Uprising Museum, and you know, it tells the story of basically when the Polish in World War II tried to fight back. Their city had been occupied, majorly damaged, and you know, under German occupation, and they wanted to fight back. They thought they were going to get some assistance from the Russians, which I believe didn't quite come in the way that they'd hoped. And I'll just end it and say it was not a good story. But there's an incredible museum. And in this museum, I learned that perhaps Brits didn't have quite the hero status, you know. What are we taught in Britain, that we helped to win the war and all that kind of thing. Poland, yeah, the older generation see it a bit differently. They say that we took their pilots and we didn't use their pilots to liberate Poland. They said that we didn't do enough to save their country. I'm not going to judge on that. You know, I know a lot about the war and stuff, but I'm not an expert to say whether Britain could have done more and survived the way that we did. But I was surprised, you know, and it made me think, okay, so maybe not everything you learn in school is, you know, quite spot on, really. But anyway, okay, so time goes on, I start work. And what I was amazed by is how intelligent the people here are. I was having incredible conversations. I was working with very, very talented people, and I still am. And, you know, in the beginning, I'm going to be honest, and, you know, I don't think they would deny this. They may have thought I was a spy. You know, not for the UK government, that would be cool, right? But for my company. You know, I was sent here on my company to train them, and they thought that also meant to assess, work out who we should get rid of, you know, that kind of horrible kind of climate of fear. So it may have been a couple of weeks before I was invited to go for a drink. So at the beginning, things were a little bit difficult, I'll be honest. But I persevered, and I like to think I've gained their trust now. I've been working with them for almost 2 years. But this is something, you know, if you're going to work in Poland, especially if you're in the sort of situation I am, don't expect to be, you know, instantly trusted, instantly greeted, you know. I mean, I hate to say it, I don't say this with any negativity at all, but there is a slight element of distrust, and maybe that's related to the history. I don't know. But the Polish people are lovely. You know, I think in the UK they get a very bad reputation. I personally didn't have any, you know, bad feelings about them at all before I came here. I knew very, very little about Poland except what I'd been taught in school. I'd been to Lithuania and Latvia, you know, neighbours, Germany, and I thought, well, you know, maybe there'll be some similarities in the buildings and the culture and stuff, and I was quite wrong, to be honest. Lithuania, which actually, you know, used to kind of be owned by Poland at one point, at least large parts of it, very different country, very different. Very different dumplings. This is a thing that the Polish, they are very proud of their national dish, pierogi. And rightly so. It's lovely. You know, there's a lot of varieties. I haven't tried all of them, but they're good. But yeah, so you know, that was essentially the story of how I got to Poland, and you know, I started working, and then you know, you get towards the end of my 2.5 months here, and you know what? They turned around and they said, would you be interested in staying on? You know, we could use somebody to help the team. You know, obviously the salary, you know, it's not going to be the same as the UK, but we'll do our best, you know. And I was having backup from my people in the UK, the people here in Poland were very keen to keep me on, and I was enjoying it. And I didn't have a job waiting for me when I came back, when I was going to go back to the UK, and I was thinking, I'm going to give it a go. And you know, so I sacrificed. You know, I was going to like do some traveling, maybe go to the States. I really wanted to go to like a few places: Colorado, San Diego, Texas. But you know, I thought, no, maybe rather than thinking of something fancy like that, I should give a go and see where it takes me. And so I stayed. And, you know, 2 years later, I think it was one of the best decisions I made in my life. And, you know, so people watching this video, they might be sort of saying, okay, I'm thinking about moving abroad, or I'm thinking about, you know, working abroad or something like that, and I would highly recommend it. Obviously every country is different, every experience is different. The main advice I would say is, if you're going to do it, have a job waiting for you. Try not to just come over and find something. You might be struggling a bit, but some people do that, some people succeed. But for me, maybe it was easy. You know, end of the day, I had a job, I knew people, I was kind of, it was a way of easing into this world. But yeah, I hate it when these videos go on too long. So this was effectively an introduction. Maybe I'll continue, maybe not. Maybe this was just me deciding to do something randomly one night after watching too many YouTube videos. But you know, I'll probably, with future videos, try and tell you a bit about Poland. I've been to a few places here now, tell you a bit about the culture, what it's like to live here. You know, and if anyone watches this video, I mean, I don't really know how, this is my first ever video, but if I do end up with subscribers or commenters or anything, feel free to leave a comment if you want to know something about Poland, or if you have any questions. I'm happy to cover those in future videos. If you have stayed on to watch this, thank you. Perhaps I haven't quite been as funny or as entertaining or have, like, you know, the high budget of a lot of YouTube people out there. But I wanted to tell my story a little bit and see where it goes. So thank you very much for watching, and maybe you'll see me again. Farewell.